Welcome to the Not Close Enough podcast. I'm your host Isaiah, and today, man, I got my boy with me, Marco. What's
going
up,
on?
Marco? How you doing, man?
Another beautiful day, baby. Alive.
Yeah,
Blessed.
man.
Alive.
Bro, I can't wait to get into it. But before we do that, if this is your first time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff. And if you're wondering what is this podcast all about, man, it's simply this. We believe, or I believe, that close enough is not close enough when it comes to our relationship with Jesus. We can always take another step. And so we're going to be talking about all different types of things, but it all funnels into one major thing, which is what can we do? What can we learn from X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z to help us take that next step?
Exactly.
And so today, man, I got the privilege of bringing someone who I knew in high school, not really a lot, but we met.
You passed by.
And yeah,
Everything.
passed by. And so it's just really cool that you're here.
Full circle.
Full circle. We are grown men now.
That's it, man. Yeah, grown man. I got a beard, barely a beard. I got a lot of gray hair. And that's it now.
I mean, when I say grown, like we grown. He's like what, 6'3". I'm like 5'3". So I mean, but we still grown.
Yeah,
Okay?
It's all right, man. Your knees are still good. My knees are bad. I gotta keep them up here. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, do me for bring it a little bit closer to you.
all right, no doubt.
Yeah, perfect. And
Right.
point it up.
Got you.
Yeah,
got
right
you.
there. Okay, we good to
Beautiful.
go because that's how we do it.
That's it.
All right, so man, first of all, man, welcome
Yes,
to
sir.
the
Thank you.
pod.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, man. So you had wrote a couple of things that are very important that I want to discuss.
Yeah.
And the things that we're going to discuss, they touch home to me. And you don't know this,
Yeah.
but I'm going to share it when you share something.
Gotcha.
So a couple of those things that I want to get right into is your father.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I've got two boys. I have my oldest son, Marco the third. I call him Marky. He's my oldest son. He's on the autism spectrum, and then I have my youngest son, Mateo. Mateo,
Nice.
he's 5 years old.
5 years old.
Yeah.
Is he on the spectrum or
No,
No?
yeah,
So, and it's crazy, because I actually want to go deeper into that real
Yeah,
quick
for sure.
because I have one of my closest friends have, I think, two to I think maybe even three of their kids are all on the spectrum.
yeah,
And I remember talking to him about it, and he's just like, a lot of people don't talk about it. A
Nah.
lot of people have no idea how hard it is.
Everyone expects it to have a look to it.
Exactly.
That's one of the big issues.
And yeah, and that's kind of like what I want to talk about is first is like, how do you father someone that has, autism, that's on the spectrum? Like,
Yeah.
give me more insight on that, just not for me, but for people watching.
No, for sure. So, fathering a child on the spectrum, I mean, everything's different. There's a lot of kids who, some are more aggressive, some are more, they're more calm. Some are nonverbal, some are verbal. They can talk to you.
Mhm.
As far as reading situations, like how you can kind of go back and forth. That's not, they're not really understanding that too much. They won't pick up on cues. My son is nonverbal. We're working right now. He's actually graduated from ABA, which is Applied Behavior
Wow.
Therapy, and he graduated from that say like 2 years ago now. And now he's been going to Valrico Elementary with a special needs classes.
Wow.
Yeah, so me and my wife, shout out to her first though. Shout out to you, babe. Joanna. Shout out to you, because that's the one who grabbed the reins for everything. She took control. She knew something was going on. I was in denial about it, which was, expected, because I just, my dad said, "No, buddy, it's okay. He'll speak, later. It's just, delayed." And so I always, I just ran off of that. Come to find out, we got the autism diagnosis down the line. Hard pill to swallow, because at first you have a vision, or you have an idea of what your life's going to be for your son. It's your firstborn son, and it's just, and then it kind of gets turned upside down. But yeah, when the diagnosis first happened, I was younger, obviously, and it was hard for me to accept that. Didn't blame anybody, couldn't blame anyone, because what is it going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna test God like that. I already found out. Just reading the Bible, you find out what happens when you test God.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I leave it at that. You know what I mean? So.
But were you angry at God?
No, I wouldn't say I was angry. I was upset just because, again, it was more the selfish side of me that I knew I wouldn't get those moments like that. But fast forward, my son's 3, he's 8 now. 5 years later, we just finished up buddy ball with Lakeland, so he was out there playing baseball with a bunch of other kids who have special needs, and some have autism, some just have different forms of a disability to where it affects your fine motor skills or gross motor skills, and they're out there playing ball. They're out there playing baseball, and it's
wow.
Yeah, again, I'm just like,
that's crazy. So I just recently watched this Tim Tebow interview, right? And he is like a part of it, I think of the Tim Tebow Foundation, where he does a lot of things for the special needs, and how he calls them the MVP, the most vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And he talks about a lot of people, especially or for autism, especially the ones that are nonverbal.
Yeah.
It's they don't have a voice.
No, they don't.
But here's the thing, they do, but they don't have a voice to speak for them.
Exactly.
And then I see you, and one of the first things you text me as some of the things you want to talk about was this. Yeah. It was on top of the list. Why do you want to give a voice to this area?
The main thing is that, again, you're going to find parents who don't know how to really deal with the situation, and I'm not going to say cope, because coping, for me indicates that you're just going to live with it, and that's just what it is. Yeah. It's not that. You're not going to cope with the situation. You're going to learn to adjust to it, embrace it. You know what I mean? Make it a part of you. Make it a part of your life. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stop you from anything, because it doesn't stop my kid from anything at all. I mean, life is, you see him, man, just play. Everything's pure. It's just, it's pure. It's pure joy, when he's sad. It's real, man. There's nothing fake about it.
Wow.
And it's so beautiful that, someone can just show you those emotions, and there's no hidden agenda behind it, no motive. You know what I mean? My youngest one is like, Papi, I'm gonna put my clothes away, but I really like a Happy Meal. I said, okay, so you trying to bribe me, or what's going on, man? You know what I mean? You're 5. Where did you get this from? We don't play like that.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? But he's that boy's just as amazing. That's definitely the firecracker for us. Wow. His personality is awesome. Now, him and his brother do get in fights, but I kind of like that they do, because my baby doesn't treat him like he's someone different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love that.
That's keeping it authentic.
Real quick.
Yeah.
There's actually been studies of if you aren't able to take a joke or take even bullying from your siblings, what makes you think you're going to take it out in the world?
Oh, yeah.
So, and if anything, your siblings know how to get under your skin the most.
Yeah, for sure, because they know everything about you.
Exactly. So, if you are able to find a way to not let your siblings get to you, ain't nobody else out there gonna get to you.
It's hard.
So I think it is healthy for the fighting and all that stuff.
You gotta have a little something, and like I said, can't be extreme.
Yeah, obviously.
Can't get weapons
No
involved.
MMA,
no chairs, no chairs.
WWE.
But you do, you gotta build a little something behind you. You know what I mean? God said, we're not meant to just be sheep. We're also there's got to be that lion there too.
Yeah.
And you got to know when to bring which one out.
Come on. I got lions all over the place.
You know what I mean? So you got to know when you got to bring the lion. You got to know when to be the sheep.
What do you think is the hardest part of parenting someone in the spectrum of autism?
So first, it started off with his definitely the sickness, because of him not being able to speak. If he was sick, it was a guessing game. You know what I mean? It was. Wow. It's imagine you out of nowhere you're talking at a voice, and you wake up sick the next day, and then you don't know how to describe it. You don't know how to get through your head, and then on top of that, for his brain, it's just neurons firing all the time. So it's just constantly. It's like a bunch of cars. It's they got the videos they show India where the cars are always crossing. Yeah. It's like that.
Wow.
And it's trying to navigate and trying to hone in on those areas that you're feeling. but then something else grabs your attention. You go and
Bro, I had no idea. I didn't even think about the nonverbal of like if you just got to go off body language.
yeah, you got to go off body. You got to, again, it's the time, the repetition. You got to learn it.
That's actually probably made you and your wife
Yeah.
better at body communication.
Yeah, for sure.
Of just like now you'll probably be able to read other people's body.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, because she sees me looking around at things. We go out. I'm constantly on the move. Head's moving. What's wrong? I said nothing. I said I'm just looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we had an incident over at one of my son's games. It was Plant City. A kid ended up pulling a gun out. I wasn't paying attention. For the ball game, I hear everybody running, and they're like, he pulled it. And they're like, Mark. It's like, grab Dale. I said, what happened?
Wow.
He pulled a gun out. I said, oh. I go grab my kid. My nephew's trying to go back. I said, hey, man, get over here. He's like, I thought you were mad at me. I said, buddy, I'm not mad at you, but everyone's saying, move, get back. Someone's got a gun out.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So now at that point, I'm just, again, it stays at that point. Like
this is at a kid's softball game?
Yeah, baseball game. Yeah, on the opposite field. And I mean, it swarmed with Plant City PD. They rolled in and it was heavy. I was just like, I told myself, all right.
Yo, that's insane.
That's it.
I feel like, and I actually want to switch it up in a way of like, okay, first of all, I didn't even think about that of like the hardness of it.
Yeah.
And you said, they can't communicate verbs of like what's going on. So what is the best thing about parenting a kid? The
best thing is this kid is the most affectionate person. And like I said, again, it's those emotions he reveals to you, right? It's pure.
Yes.
There's no motive behind it. Like when he loves you. Like the other night, he goes to sleep. He was having a hard time sleeping. So he comes to me, I'm laying down, I'm watching SmackDown for Friday night.
Me too. I watch WWE too.
Right?
Oh man.
So I got, that for me, that's my pastime. So my baby's getting, a little upset. I see him crying. I said, Papi, what's wrong? I was like, come lay down, Papi. So I tap the bed. He comes over. He sees my wife's heating pad. He's laying on that. He leaves, gets his blanket, comes back. So I'm just there, and he's just like, tickles. So what it does is you put his hand down. I'll just clap real fast, and I'll just I'll just poke him real fast. So we did that for like one turn. I was like, Papi, I'll be back. I'm going to go use the restroom. So I go, I leave, I come back, and I mean, this boy's out. Like he worked a 12-hour shift. You know what I mean? Like he's just...
That's awesome.
I mean, but I'm just like I said, man, I mean, it was pure like that. I mean, he can't speak to you, but he can show you what he wants.
Yes.
Which has been a big development over the course of his life so
far. Wow, man. I have a son that's almost 2 years old.
Yeah.
And man, every time he wants to snuggle it's like, it's funny. It's like as men, we're supposed to be tough, leaders, providers, all of these things, right? Masculine, all of these things. But man, when you have a little boy or even a little girl, does that change
and
the dynamic of who
like so for me, man, I've always been like that. I've always been very affectionate. I've never been afraid, to hide my emotions. Like for me, and that's one thing I'm not afraid to say is I'm a big crier, man. I'm a very emotional person.
What got you there though?
I've always been like that. I've always been like that.
See, I haven't.
So for like physicality doesn't affect me like that. So one thing is I hated to get yelled at in school.
Wow.
I hated to get in trouble. I was not about that life at all. You know what I mean? I did turn it up a little bit when I graduated, did my share of things. Again.
And we'll talk about that.
You know what I mean? So, but I've always been an emotional person. My heart's always on my sleeve. If something makes me cry, boy, I'll cry. I make fun of my mom because she'll cry at like the goofiest movies, right? And then now I'm looking at watching the same thing. I'm like, man, there's no way.
Yeah, bro,
there's no way I'm doing this right now.
Like I've gotten super emotional.
Yeah.
Ever since my son's been born.
Yeah.
Like anything with kids, it's over.
Oh yeah,
okay?
For sure.
But like I've actually cause I grew up and I've never seen my dad cry till this day.
Yeah.
I still love you, Dad. I'm gonna see it one day.
Hey.
But I've still like in my mind, like men shouldn't cry.
Yeah,
right?
that's what we were taught.
And he never really taught me that. It's just when you're a kid, you learn more by what you see than by what they say. Because what's the famous thing parents say? Do as I tell you, not as I do.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
And us, we're like, No,
man, he's
no.
like,
I see you do that. I'm gonna do it too.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
just don't think I'm doing it, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it behind your back.
Yeah.
And so, and that's even more important for you,
Yeah.
especially of like he's watching everything you do.
He sees and takes in everything.
Wow.
Don't let the look of him just being around be a deflection of his intelligence. This kid sees, he knows. Like his favorite thing is toilets. He loves to flush them. We go into buildings, right? He's never experienced them, never anything, but he knows where they're at.
Wow.
Off the top of his head. And the thing is, this is all memorization. You go into one Walmart, he knows he can tell the one's different. So he knows where to go. So all of that's a memorization. The intelligence is there, dude. Now, like I said, now he can read some more. He's been able to count. Again, that on top of that, my wife talking to him in Spanish, and I do too.
Nice.
He understands Spanish, I think, better than he does English.
Really?
But yeah, so he can actually talk it pretty clear too, and we have him repeat back to us. Yeah, man. The kid's smart.
So he can speak. He just can't.
It's just not full. Like he won't start the conversation with you. Right?
Okay.
So that's where they mean the case of being nonverbal.
Okay.
There's a lot of kids that they can repeat a lot of words, but they won't engage in the conversation.
My friend's kid is nonverbal, but he doesn't speak at all. He'll make sounds, but he doesn't.
And that's where we started off with sounds.
Yeah.
A lot of therapy, occupational therapy, which was helping him do things, brush his teeth, just things that we take for granted every day.
So you said you give your wife credit.
Yeah.
There might be parents who are on the lookout.
Yeah.
What are some early signs to be like, hey, maybe I should get my son or daughter checked out?
One of there's a few things, right? So my wife, and it's one of the common ones to notice is the lack of eye contact. You call their name, they'll be a baby, and it's a straight stare. They're not engaging with you.
Interesting.
Another thing is being solo, like them being on their own a lot and being okay with it.
Because normally babies, they're like glued to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my baby wasn't like that. He was fine. He was fine being on his own. Hand flapping, it's what they call stim. It's what helps them to calm themselves down from being overstimulated. Wow. There's different forms of stimming. So my son would do a lot of hand flapping. He doesn't do it as much for now. He does a lot of circles and stuff, or he does quick hand movements to kind of watch it. Those are just few of the things. And also the delayed speech is another common one. Can't really say for sure. I won't say that's exactly it, but it is one of those things to kind of look out for.
Wow. Because that's helpful. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like when my son was born, I was just like, man, because I have a stepdaughter who's about to be 13 in a couple months. Holy moly. And then I have my son who's about to be 2. Yeah. Crazy ages, right? Yeah, man. And man, when he speaks or when he does all that, is just like, man, I don't think we realize how grateful it is to be able to communicate in a certain way to your kids. And we take stuff for granted.
Big time, for sure.
But in your case, I think it's awesome that you almost get to experience or learn a different way of how to love someone.
Oh, yeah.
Explain that, like the different way of how to, because, all right, the whole thing of this is my favorite son or favorite. It was like, no, we love you the same, but just differently. But when you have a son that's autistic, there's a different type of love or just thing that goes with it. Yeah. Explain that to me.
So for me, one of the main things is to not let one above the other, or especially with my little one, he's getting bigger. So a lot of times he does mess with the older one, and I got to put him in check, let him know, hey, got to calm down, man. Don't be messing with them now. I'm watching you. So again, it's making that correct balance of setting the discipline and setting that line for the two. Yeah, that's good. But the thing is, the way I love my youngest son is the way I love my oldest son. Yeah. The embrace, like my baby, my little one just hug me, we'll wrestle, we'll play around, and that's everything. And things I used to wrestle my older one too. And we still kind of do, but it's more just a tickles, I tickle him, he still wants me to lift him up. He's a big boy. He was, about 150 pounds. So, And
wow.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing too. Their diet. That's another thing that gets messed up. It's on one of the other signs. their diet starts to de-escalate. So my son went from eating eggs, sausage, bacon, bunch of fruits, a ton of stuff, right? Just whatever you could think of. He used to eat it, and that slowly got chopped away.
Really?
So now he only likes he eats chips, and cheese pizza. That's it. That's the only thing like his body will allow him
That's crazy.
to be all right with.
So this is a big one.
Yeah.
And then I want to move on to the next thing.
For
but
sure.
how do you discipline your child?
All the same, I discipline the little one.
I love that.
You know, again, I'm not gonna do something that I wouldn't do to my youngest, or I'm not gonna do something to my youngest I want to do to my oldest.
Well, do you think that it is like there are differences in how you discipline?
For sure. So my oldest son's mentality is a lot lower. I would say a lot lower than my youngest son. But it's the same thing. It's the voice, you know, the stern voice, the one warning, and I keep it at that.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Because again, he's no one. My son is special, right? For me, he is special, but he's not limited. He's not without.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you're capable.
Exactly. He's very capable of doing a lot of things. Like, you know what I mean? And recently now he tries to, you know, tell me to move. He's like, go. We're in the truck sitting. I'm waiting for his stuff. He's like, go. So he'll climb over, grab my gauge and move it up, you know, try to move it down the drive. I say, hey man, you gotta relax. I said, you know what I mean? Like I said, and I told my wife, I was like, I talk to my boys with all the love in the world. The minute they wanna, you know, get away from that and they want to start acting goofy, then that's when, you know, I'm gonna talk to them like a man. That's the thing. I will never discourage anyone from talking to their son or daughter like a man.
I heard that not too long ago of like, don't like. There are times where I play with my son. I have like a little baby, but like 90% of the time when I talk to my son, it's with my own voice.
Yeah,
and I heard that's so important because like they need like that manly voice.
Well, the thing is, they got to know the difference between, you know what I mean? Because I don't know what it is for the moms, but you kids, y'all gonna find out when you test your mom.
Yeah,
just let me know.
You know what
I mean? You're gonna find out quick. But again, it's the mom. You know, she's the person that caresses you and loves you, and you know, nurtures you. You know what I mean? And dad is supposed to play that role of being the man to discipline you. Because like my brother-in-law told me, he's, you know, when he's had to put a whooping on his kid, you know, I'd rather cry now than to cry later when something happens to you and I can't fix it.
You know, let's bring in the word of God in.
Amen.
The word of God says this is that, and it's so interesting that, you know, God, and I'm paraphrasing it. I want to be able to pull it up, but in case I can't, the Bible says something like this: you know, God loves you when he disciplines you.
Exactly.
And so, you know, yes, discipline hurts.
Yep.
You know, it's not fun. I think I saw a Mike Tyson quote today where it says, making it easy for yourself today will make it hard for yourself tomorrow.
Exactly.
But making it hard for yourself today will make it easy for tomorrow.
Exactly.
And man, discipline plays such a big role in that. And so, moving on, you talked a little bit already about your wife.
Yeah.
When did you guys meet? Did y'all meet in Durant? Because we both went to Durant.
So no,
you were on the red wall, which is why I got the red light.
Got the red light back there for me. Shout out to that.
Yeah.
So actually everything, you know, where I graduated out of school already, I came back from Texas just taking a little vacation out there. We went to a quinceañera. I think I was 19. A year later after everything's done. We met there because of a mutual friend. So I see her, and I'm just like, bombshell. Like, I'm done. I'm like, I was like, swear to God, on God is, you know,
my witness.
You know, God is my witness, man, on the Bible, right? Like, I saw her, and I was like, that's it.
Wow.
That was it. 19 years old. People think it's goofy, you know, kind of out of here, right?
Mm-mm.
I got with her at 19. We're still married. To this day, 11. We're together, so we've been married 11 years.
Wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah, man. 11 years as of May 3rd, actually.
I always say this to married people. All right. What's the best advice that you would give about what you need for a strong marriage outside of, yes, this is a Christian podcast. I know God needs to be first.
Yes, for sure.
But something else?
So the main thing is communicating. I've been horrible at it my entire life growing up. It is you're better seen and not heard. Well, I've taken that with me my
Mm,
entire life, so that's one of the defects I have about myself.
mm,
So I don't know how to talk. She knows how to talk.
mm.
So again,
All
I'm an
women know how to
emotional.
talk.
So like I feel, you know what I mean. So when she gets on to me, I'm like, man, I was like, don't cry. I was like, don't get upset. You know what I mean. But
Yeah.
I get upset because I feel like I'm in trouble with her. But that's her. You know. And as you grow and you get older, you learn like that's just someone expressing themselves, telling you how they feel, how you're making them feel.
Mm.
And this, for me, this is it still remains now. I'm horrible at talking about how I feel. I'm just used to being told something and me just taking it in and that be that. I've
Mm.
always that's the bad mentality I have, but it's a mentality that's worked for me. It's as I stay silent. All right, I understand what I did. I apologize. My fault. I'm sorry. And it's not always like that. My wife will tell me, "Why don't you tell me what I'm doing wrong?" I was like, "Because it doesn't bother me. It doesn't." I said, but what happens is I keep it in for so long, so that one thing that does, then I tell her, but it's no longer the message, but it's the delivery of the message. It's how
Yeah.
you say it. Now you kind of you kind of ruin what you were trying to accomplish.
That's true. That's true. So communication. What makes your wife so special to you?
For me, man, I mean, she was with me, through a lot of stuff, a lot of things that ended up happening in later in my life. She was with me when I tried to go to school. Didn't work out for me, but she still stood by my side.
Mm.
I went from job to job, started picking up a little bit more. And same thing, like I just was not happy. I finally made it HD. I'm thinking I'm doing. I was like, yeah, I'm doing good. $12 an hour. I said, yeah, I'm making it. I'm killing myself for nothing. I'm starving myself. I'm just destroying my body basically. And but I'm like, yeah, I get a little bit of overtime. I'm like, yeah, $18 an hour, cool. I'm doing all these different things for a company that don't really show me no, anything, no gratitude, nothing. But in my head, again, it's that old school mentality. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to go. You got your family you want to provide for. You got your wife you told her to stay home. This is what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't fuss, you don't fight, you don't complain about it. So I ended up leaving there a year and a half later. I went to James Hardy, and I'm thinking I'm on top of the world because I hear all my friends. I'm saying everybody I know from Dover. I'm like, man, I was like, this is it. And I was like, man, hey, what are you doing here? I'm thinking I'm on top of the world. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do so good. $15 an hour, boom, I'm $3 more. I move into a different spot. I'm making 18 an hour off the bat. I'm like, yes, sir. I was like, I'm really living now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it got to a point to where they messed around with me and I was unhappy. I still had my 18. I went back to the old position and then it was a lot of drag about. I'm tired. I'm just done. Even with my 4 days on, I was working 4 on 4 off, but I just hated it. I hated everything about it. It made me miserable.
Mm.
And my wife's like, she's like, listen, she's like, you need to figure something out. And the thing is, she get real with me too. She ain't scared of me. I'm scared of her. You know what I mean? I'm scared of her because I'm just like, whoa, man, that's my fault. I'm sorry. She's like, stop saying sorry. You got to look for your. She's like, you got to find something that makes you happy. So
Mm.
that way you're not only providing, but she's like, you're just not fun to be. Like it's not fun to be around you. Like
Mm.
it's like all I hear is you complaining every day. I said, I'm talking now.
Wow.
She's like, again, your message is just not, it's not there. Right?
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. So she was mad at you for not talking, and now she's mad at you because you talking, but it's how you're talking.
Exactly.
So it's like you're probably like,
So
what do
it's
I
the
can't
same
win.
message, the tone just gets worse and worse every day,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
That's
He's
so
like,
important.
yeah, there's just like someone talking to you, be like, all right, hey man, you should probably get your car fixed. All right, no, for sure I'm gonna work on it. No, your oil's leaking now. All right, dude. I got you. Appreciate it. Hey man, it's looking pretty bad over there. All right, I got it, man. God, I mean, you just and now I understand her. Now I understand the frustration. So it's 2 years later, and before all this, I put in an application with local Union 123. Local 123. Shout out to you for making my life better.
Come on.
I put in an application 2 years prior to that, so I'm waiting. My buddy's like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm telling you, you're gonna make some money." All right, I'm waiting. Years are going by. Get a call. Hey, is this Marco? Yeah. Hey, we got work. You ready to go? This is local 123. I said, all right, let me put my 2 weeks in. No, it's not. It's not gonna work. We need you like yesterday. All right, no doubt. I go to the front office. Say, hey man, I gotta go. What do you mean? I said I'm getting my union. That office tried everything to stop me from getting to the union.
Wow.
So that way they're like, the one guy, the HR main guy, he says, I'm not against unions, and I was trying to get in one, but if everything fails, like your pension's gone. I said, well, I mean, it's a gamble we'll take. I've been waiting 2 years for this, so I'm going. No, Marco, you got to stay here, a hardy man. I said, nah, sorry, son, that don't work like that.
Wow.
I was like, I've given you guys options. I've told you what to do, how to meet my criteria. You didn't make it happen. That's fine. You guys have a great life with everybody making really doing well. Everyone, it's $1 billion company.
I gotta do what's best for me and my family.
And I finally get in, and I'm in it. I'm running, helping sewer. I've never run a sewer cable machine in my life. I'm running sewer cables. I'm digging underground, man. I hyperextended my left knee as a pre-apprentice. That took me out, but luckily the company at the time when they were around, they took care of me and
Nice.
had me clean up the shop, and it still got my 40-hour check on top of me doing in rehab as well.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful blessing. Like, they took care of me.
But you're doing something that you loved now.
I learned, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like, all right, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm down with it. Well, let's fast forward 6 years later. I'm a first year journeyman. I went from making $15 an hour to now I'm at $39 an hour.
Wow.
And that was all from 5 years of school, every weekend, or 1 weekend a month, sorry, and just dedication, staying in it. And the thing is, I love what I do so much now, it's not work to me anymore.
Wow. And your wife stood by you though.
She stood by me through it all.
So let me tell you, I'm a visual person. There's a lot of stuff that you said that I'm getting visuals about. So your wife seems like someone who challenges you in a good way.
Yeah, she
pushes
does.
you
She
to
does.
be the man that she knows that you can be.
Exactly.
And that's what a good wife does.
Exactly.
Right?
Every
So
time.
that's one. Two, what was interesting about the job, right? When you were working this job and then they were trying to like, no, don't go because this and that. It reminds me of what the enemy does. Of like, God has something better for us.
And they even offered me more money. I said, I don't want it.
See? And that's what the enemy will do. Like, hey, don't leave.
Yeah.
I'll offer you more money, or, it's a risk if you do that.
Yeah.
You're just like, no. Yes, it's a risk. Yes, I don't know what's going to happen. But the potential of not only it being a better job, but also the potential of, man, this is just better for me and my family, and doing something that I could probably love to do one day. And seeing them want to do that, it just made me think about how the enemy tries to do the
every
exact
time. And the thing
same
is,
thing.
the enemy is always going to give everything to you. You don't earn it, right? And that's where people have issues. They believe it's God because they get it instantly. And that's the thing as a person of faith, you have to be able to discern, is this really God-given? Because the devil knows a book just better than anybody else on this planet.
Yeah, he does. Mm-hmm.
And he's going to know exactly what to say, how to lure you in. Because when you get it, it's not exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
God doesn't just give you things. He knows what he needs. He knows what you need to have. He will make sure that you work for it, that it's earned in your blood, in your sweat, in your prayer, and in your tears. That's something he will never. Again, we're meant to go through struggle. That creates character. That's what brings you stronger. It brings you closer to the Lord, right?
Yeah, keep going, because there's a verse that you made me think of. But
I know exactly what you're gonna look for too.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up.
Find it out, man.
And let's see because there's a lot of verses that talk. All right, what verse am I thinking of?
All right, man. Look, I ain't gonna be able to get it off the top, right? But I know it because I sent it to my sister in a time of her needing to understand how life works, right? Because it talks about character. God will put you through this for a reason, right? Because struggle creates character, right?
Do you know the verse?
I cannot get the verse off the top of my head.
Romans 5:3. Right here it is, real
Right?
quick. Romans 5:3 says this. And not only that, but we also rejoice in our afflictions
Yep.
because we know that our afflictions produce endurance.
Exactly.
Endurance produces proven character,
Yep.
and proven character produces hope.
Amen.
This hope will not disappoint us
Yep.
because God's love has been poured out in our hearts through the Holy Spirit, whom was given to
Amen.
us. Come
Amen.
on. That's what I thought,
That's
man.
it, baby.
Man, so I actually want to go back real quick before
Yeah,
we
for
move
sure.
on. I told you I was going to do this. And maybe you're like, hey, Isaiah, you changed shirts. We had a camera thing mess up and I was sweating. So I had to change shirts.
You got to work around it. Make it work for everybody.
Yeah, right. They were
That's
like, yo, Dan, wasn't he wearing a white t-shirt? I was sweating through it, okay?
Baby, we just changed it.
Yeah.
Graphics. AI, baby. Don't get mad at us.
So the thing I want to talk about is going back to your autistic son.
Yeah.
How do you show God's love to him? How do you teach him about God?
The main thing is it's got to be your actions, right? Because by word alone, as humans, we are not godly. We don't have that, right? We are saved by the one who's godly, but we
Yes.
are not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if we say something, back it up. And that's, again, my wife she's about actions. If she could, she'd sound like Marshawn Lynch and say, I'm about that action, boss. You know what I mean? So with her, because she's heard so much words time and time again. Words mean nothing. Your actions got to back it up.
It's the same thing with apologies. Like, don't
Yeah.
say you're sorry if you're going to continue to do the same
thing again.
And so the way you show the love of God, and the way you even show God to your son who can't speak, is by your actions. So what are some of those actions that you do for your son?
Now, for me, because I've fallen off and on again with my praying. I know it helps me and always makes me feel better.
Absolutely.
But I fall off and I get lazy about it. And again, I can admit that. I'm not scared to admit it.
You're not the only one.
You know what I mean? I'm imperfect. I'm okay with that. I know that fact about myself, and I'm willing to hold accountability for myself as well in that same aspect. But it is praying with them, especially at night, man. Anything you take, one of the big things you take from this is please pray over your child at night. Because that's one of the things that the devil hates the most is a child that's protected.
Come on, speak.
Right?
That's right.
Because what does the devil want to do? He wants to take away. He wants to ruin your children. Why? You ruin your children. What happens to the parent?
Same thing, too.
You're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you just give up. But definitely praying over my boys, and it's getting, and I myself need to do better at doing that at night.
I'm gonna hit you up at night.
For
Hey,
sure.
you pray with your
Hey,
kid.
that's it, exactly, for sure.
Hey.
And now and then it's a beautiful thing too. So if someone does take this to heart, hopefully they do find someone to put them in check for that as well. You know what I mean?
Man, bro, so it's all about so you're demonstrating it by praying with them, reading the word.
Exactly.
And I think you told me you read the word to them. And also it's shown that a lot of people, depending on what type of Christian, it sounds weird. Some Christians are like, oh, the gift of the tongues. I believe in all that stuff. And the gift of this, gift of miracles, all that is great. But all that means nothing if you don't have the fruit of the Spirit.
Exactly.
The kindness, gentleness, self-control, love, and gentleness, all that, right?
Yeah.
If you're not exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit,
Exactly.
I don't care what gifting you have.
That's the thing too. Again, is now do you believe that person has a gift, or is it really truly come to them? Do the word speak to them directly, or is that the devil hiding in the fallacies that people want to believe that they have got something, right?
Yeah, I think actually people can have a gift, God-given gift, and then misuse it.
Yeah.
Like we see this in Matthew, one of the most terrifying verses where it says, we cast out demons in your name.
Yeah.
We move mountains with our faith.
Yeah.
And God says, depart from me, for I never knew you. Meaning you did all of this in faith, but you never had an authentic relationship with me. And so but it ties into what you're saying of just like,
you were doing it all, you were all for show, no go. You know what I mean?
Come on, all for show, no go. I like that,
You know what I mean? And that's, again, if you're gonna move, you're really gonna be about moving with God. You move, like they say, move with faith. You move, close your eyes, and move. Take a step.
Come on. You had said I've been hearing a lot about, because we're talking about your son,
Yeah.
about being a father. You're a father to two boys.
Yep.
Uh, I'm guessing it changed your life. Probably gave you a different outlook on life.
So for me, especially with now, it's made me more protective for sure.
Mm,
But I've always had a soft spot for kids.
yes.
And that just comes from helping when my sister would babysit on my cousins and ladies that worked at the office with our aunts, and they would bring their kids too. So I've always been around children. I've always helped to take care of them. I was always a big brother to a lot of
Mm.
people.
So I've been a youth pastor and been in youth ministry for such a long time that I'm the
Yeah,
same way. I love kids. I love being able to pour life and
yeah.
truth in them and let them know that they are fearfully and
Oh, for
wonderfully made.
sure.
I be playing basketball with the neighborhood kids all the
Yeah.
time. They come up and
I see
play.
now you're the cool neighborhood dad, and
Yeah,
boy, they're gonna wear you out now, man. It's
they
too
already
late.
do. They already do, man. And it brings me to say this. To me, it seems like, man, you take this fatherhood very
Oh
seriously.
yeah, have to.
How is your relationship with your father, and how did that play a role in you being a father?
Yeah. So actually, when I was a kid, my father got locked up. He was gone, so he was there
For
was
what? Can you say? No,
you
yeah.
know, no, for sure, no. It was for distribution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it put a big wedge in our lives.
How
We
old were you when
I
he
was
went?
5, and
Wow.
so he didn't come out till I was 13.
Wow.
So the first time I saw him outside of prison, I was like a little kid again. You know what I mean? Like it was just everything. But
Was he a
from
changed man when he came out?
yeah, for sure.
Praise God.
And then you get those pivotal years from 5 to 13 that I didn't have a man in my life to really guide me. And again, this is all part of God's plan, and I'm not mad at any of it because I could have easily been led down the wrong path by somebody.
So you never had resentment towards your dad, even while this was happening?
Some things, yeah. As I got older, it
I
sad,
mean, you were really young,
sad,
so you
it
probably
was
couldn't
more
even.
when I thought about it afterwards. When I got older, like things
Mm,
got me upset. I wouldn't
yes.
say I was mad at him, but definitely made me upset that
Yeah.
those core memories that I didn't get to experience.
Bro, real quick, what makes you mad, bro? Because you're like, it didn't make me mad. Just like, what
So,
makes you mad?
I mean, really, man, is well now I can definitely say I've gotten better over the years. I used to have a real short temper.
Yeah.
I've always been like that.
Do you think you get that from your dad?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, no, my mom on that
Your
one.
mama?
No,
Hey, man,
no, for
mamas
both
don't
of them,
play, bro. Mamas
right?
don't play.
Both of them, right?
So, back to your father. He's in prison. What does his life look like from 5 to 13 with you and your mom?
So it's me, my mom, and my sister. My older sister had moved out already. So now it's my mom's a provider. My middle sister, she's the one taking care of me all the time.
Wow.
My mom does her best. You know what I mean? She did what she could, and she made a lot of things happen. But it was mainly my middle sister, Anna. Anna, shout out to you as well.
Wow.
And she would take care of me. She looked after me. She would buy me clothes just like my mom would.
Wow.
And she sacrificed a lot to help to make me, And again, it's been the women in my life that have helped to get me where I am.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So my wife in the present time now, my sister with my education, because she believes in that. She harped on it. She pushed me. She didn't mess around.
Wow.
She was about that. And then my mom, I was just like, all right, well,
You had three.
if I didn't do something, I'm about to catch a whoop. And then my older sister,
Yeah.
she's like, Mark, you better get it. All right, man, I'm sorry, my
So
fault.
these three women played such a huge pivotal role in
Yeah.
your life to make you the man. So we hear this lot that, and I get it in a way that like women can't teach a man to be a man because they're not a man.
Yeah.
But they can sure enough definitely teach you by experience or by other men
Yeah.
by experience. And though it's not the same, I get that. But man, like I think that's awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at Timothy, Paul.
Yeah.
This is Paul is discipling Timothy. Timothy's younger, and it says that it's his mom and his grandma that led Timothy
Yeah.
up into the faith. And then when Paul met Timothy, he was like, "Yo, I like this dude. He's gonna be rolling
Yeah,
with me now."
for sure.
And so, but man, strong woman in your life really helped you to become
Yeah,
the
for
man
sure.
that you are
And it's
today.
like you said, they pick up, they know what they want in a man, right?
Mm,
So why wouldn't they give those, bring those same traits or teach those same traits to the young again? I'm the youngest child. I'm the youngest sibling in my family.
mm.
So again, my sister Anna, she made a lot of sacrifices to take care of me. Eventually, we moved up north to Niceville to be closer to my dad. There, I mean, we really didn't have much. We had a place to live in, But I mean, as far as money, we didn't have much. We
When
were.
was this when you moved to Nashville? When he
I
got out?
was no. He was still in. So that was back in fourth grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a kid, Mexican from down, down over here in Dover
Down
that
south.
goes to Niceville, right? And it's different. It's a world of difference.
Yeah.
I'm the one Mexican kid. I'm like the token Mexican kid, right? Like they're like, oh, they're like, I get to school, but I'm riding my bike, and I mean, it's like bliss. It's not cold like it is here. Up
Yeah.
there, I was like, whoa, my mom's trusting me, to go and make that tread to school, make sure, believe that I'm coming back.
Yeah.
But I'm so, like I said, I'm so terrified of everything. I'm trying to get back in a hurry. But, again, it was a lot of, for me, it's always been a lot of being alone and just being with them, my sister and my mom.
So your dad gets out.
Yeah.
Tell me how that's like.
Everything was good. Everything was, my dad's working, and he's with the contractor that gets him in, and, he's working with him. And eventually my dad goes to own and operate, with the help of my mom, his own business.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were your mom and dad still married through all this?
Yeah.
Bro, your mom is a G, bro.
Yeah, she is, man.
Your
She
mom,
is.
and I'm not saying your dad isn't. I
Yeah.
mean, your dad picked a real one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of people who say, hey, I'm with you from thick to thin.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people who say that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people mean that.
Yeah, exactly. No one backs it up.
So, man, I almost want to talk to your mama, man. Like, this is crazy. So she stayed with him.
Yeah.
He gets out.
She helps him
She
to
helps
establish
him-
a lot of stuff.
Man, bro.
Tons of stuff. She helps him to establish.
Man, your mom's a different breed, man.
Yeah, she is.
She's a different breed.
Definitely one of one.
Man. And you got to see that.
Yeah.
How did that impact you?
So again, it's just like, I never wanted whoever I was gonna be with, whoever I would make my wife, that I know for sure I would never want to put them through what my mom had to go through. Again, I experienced it. My older sister, experienced it, because it was us three together. Like I said, my older sister, she moved out, so it's just us three going through that struggle together. And yeah, man, it was, again, it's just you learn how not to treat somebody, or how not to give someone that life.
So that's so true. My parents are still married, and
Yeah.
I remember seeing them, growing up. You see the good and the bad,
Yeah.
everything in between. And so you're always like, I like what they do here. I don't like what they
Yeah,
do
exactly.
here, so I'm not going to do that. And I love that you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
So is your dad a born-again Christian when he comes out?
So like I said, so the business gets started, we make that tread. Some things happen in our whole family dynamic that ends up leading to him drinking again. He becomes, he's still to this day an alcoholic, even, but he was on it pretty bad. It ran a majority of his life once he got out of prison. Then he got back in his way again, and he made himself right with the Lord.
Wow.
Right. And then again, recently fell off due to other circumstances within the family dynamic.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been a hardworking man. I mean, he's definitely dealing with some demons in his life. We've had
He
this
got some
conversation.
flaws. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Just like
That-
everyone else.
And it's definitely a fight that I want him out. I'm going to share the podcast with him. I want them to listen. And just for him to know that, I want him to get that help. I want him to talk to somebody to help to figure out and figure what's going on, to let those demons know, you ain't about this. I don't want this.
And I think what your dad's going through is what so many other men are going through.
Yeah.
I go through this. Like
It's
me,
the silence.
it's vaping nicotine.
Yeah.
Like I still do that today.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to continue to do it, but it's just like this addiction.
Yeah.
And there is other people that have addictions, but they're just like quote unquote worse because it
Yeah.
affects you more.
Yeah.
And
Well, it affects you, and then it affects everybody around you as well.
exactly, man. And so I did want to bring this up.
Yeah.
All right. I saw your shirt.
Yeah.
And you had told me a little bit about it. And so before you actually tie the shirt in, I actually want to hear your testimony. How did you come to Jesus? How did Jesus change your life? And what was like that moment for you of like your eyes were opened?
So I would definitely say, throughout my entire life, we've been taught about God. Went to old school Baptist church and stuff like that, and but again, being younger, I never really understood it all, right?
Mm.
You don't have that perspective of, you don't understand what it really means. But I've always felt protected. Like I told my wife, I was growing up, I never expected that I would be where I am today. I always figured I'd be dead by 12 for some reason.
Wow.
Never sure why. Never could put my thumb on it, but that's what that's what was in my head. I never, again, got to high school,
Yeah.
never saw that happen, and you know what I mean.
Maybe because of your father.
Yeah,
Being
and
in.
it could have been, and I just never knew what
Yeah.
my life was gonna be. But for sure, I mean, I've been tried many a times in life. I've witnessed death. I've uh, partial homelessness. Definitely not having enough money for a lot of for food for our family. Um, Going through, just being alone the majority of my life.
Yeah.
But I've never felt weak. I've never felt like I was without.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that my sister was there. And again, my mom, they try to, they let me know, like, buddy, you're not alone. We're not alone. God's got us at all times. And that's one of the big things my sister would put into my head. And I would say it was more so, that I finally got to me when I had my son, my oldest son, for sure. That was the moment. And then, cause like I said, that's when my dad cleaned up his act. Right.
Mm.
And like, he just stopped. Boom, he was done. My baby, even with everything going on, like, I knew I was just so blessed to have this child under my care and in my arms, that I didn't like nothing. Again, nothing made me mad. That's why my personality, people don't believe me. Like, I'm naturally happy. Now I am.
Mm.
Before, it was easy to get me fired up, or because I was just quick to do whatever, do whatever. But I wake up happy. I wake up in a great mood. Like, I don't have energy I don't want to fight with nothing. Nothing or nobody, you know what I mean? Unless I got to do it, then it's different. But from then, I knew that God, had a bigger plan for me.
Man. So, like, what was that moment? That switch.
So it's like, so my son was born. My dad just stops drinking. He just finishes.
Mm.
And that was just like this man that's been going hardcore for years now just stopped on a dime. People, when they come off of drinking so much alcohol, they get sick.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to him.
Wow.
He stayed good. He gave his testimony, and within that testimony, he apologized to me and my sister.
How old were you?
I was a grown adult. My son was my son. I would believe. Let me see. I would say, like, this is probably 4 years ago.
Wait a second. Are you saying that's when you really gave your life to Jesus, when it got real to you?
Like,
Was seeing your father,
seeing that transformation happen. Yeah. Right. Because I've had my belief in him, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
Do anything. But to see that moment of a man that was just about his alcohol, just stop on a dime.
Mm.
Nothing happened to him. And my sister, who was a nurse, she said, there's no way that can happen. Like, you got to feel something. My dad's like, no, I feel nothing.
Wow.
I don't feel anything hurting me.
And he gave his life, and
He gave
was
his
sharing
life.
his testimony.
He gave his
to you.
testimony. He told, and this is all in Spanish, right? He's like, look, I'm not a pastor. I'm not, and my dad doesn't like to speak in front of people like that.
Mm.
He said, but I can say that I gave my life to God. I've stopped everything. And, I just want to tell my family I'm sorry. I want to tell my son I'm sorry for not being there. I want to tell my daughter I'm sorry for not being there as well. Like, and it was, like, again, I've believed, right? But that's for that moment where I closed my eyes. I took that step.
Mm.
And I wake up and I open my eyes, and it's there.
Wow. So I understand what you're, because I grew up Catholic. I grew up always believing in God, believing in Jesus, but it didn't hit me till I was 19.
Yeah.
And I always ask that question to people, because normally there's always a moment where it becomes, yeah, I believe there's a God, to like, I believe in God.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's real now.
Yeah.
It's not just something where I know exists.
Yeah.
It's something where I have a relationship.
Exactly.
I know him. Instead of like, that's a better way of putting it. Instead of just knowing it exists,
Yep.
knowing about God, I know God.
Exactly.
And bro, man, so much is going on in my mind right now of like your father
Yeah.
who was in prison because of X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
So did all that, goes to prison, comes out, apologizes,
Yeah.
and shares his testimony, shares what God has done in his life.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where your eyes get really open.
Yeah.
Bro, that's incredible, bro.
And for me, it's just stuck then, you know what I mean? Because again, like I've known about him. I believe he was my Lord and Savior. But it was that moment that was that moment of purity, right? That it happened. And it's like it tells me, it's like, hey, yo, this is it. Like, this is real.
Wow. So speaking of that,
Yeah.
what is that shirt? What does it say? What does it mean?
So this is a shirt that my buddy Ruben Martinez made. It says, "Pick up your cross." The old English always gets me. I can't. It's hard to read upside down.
I know. Pick up your cross.
Yeah,
Was
pick
it
up your cross.
Stay in the faith or
Stay in the fight.
stay in the fight,
Yeah.
and it has boxing gloves.
Got the boxing gloves there,
bro.
right? Because we all have our crosses to bear.
Yeah.
We are
Absolutely.
and at times we may be in position to help others bear theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But first things first is you got to know how to hold on to your own.
The Bible says every man has its own load.
Yep.
And then we all carry burdens. In Galatians 6, it talks about sharing each other's burdens.
Yep.
And Timothy 6:12, 2 Timothy 6:12 says, fight the good fight of faith. And obviously, and I think it's in Matthew where it comes that up where it says, deny yourself.
Yep.
Pick up your cross and follow me.
Exactly.
And so I'm guessing that's where all of that came into that.
Exactly.
What does that mean to you?
So for me to pick up my cross is to basically, again, it's the life that I'm wanting to live for God, that He has for me. Everything that comes with it, good, bad, appreciate it, understand it, accept it. Because without any of that going on in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be having this interview with you today. I would be somewhere else doing stuff I'm not supposed to, or doing the things I'm supposed to. Who knows? I don't, and that's not. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with not understanding. That's not my purpose in life. God made me to be a fearing man of Him, a father, a provider, a husband. Everything that I have now is what I've asked for, and like again, good, bad, I accept it all.
Wow, bro.
I embrace it all, and I'm good with everything. I can honestly say that I'm good with it all.
Man, that's such a beautiful place to be. What do you think is the hardest part about picking up your cross for you personally?
Still living in your flesh.
Yeah.
If you don't want to live with the spirit and you want to live in your flesh, you're gonna have fights. You're not gonna win those fights.
Well, how do you do that on a day-to-day basis?
A day-to-day basis is I wake up. First thing I do is I read a verse through one of the Bible apps I have.
Yep.
So that's the first thing I start my day with. I read a verse, and sometimes those verses hit me. I'm just like,
did you read one this morning?
Yeah.
Which do you remember what it was?
I don't remember because everything's usually kind of foggy.
Yeah.
And when I wake up and then it's
I read it
initial.
too, but I forgot it too. So,
you know what I
like,
mean?
You're not
So,
the only one.
But I like to go back and it does give me notifications. This is what the verse was.
When was the last one that hit you?
One of the last ones I would actually say was from Isaiah, and I was reading it to my buddy Ruben.
Wow.
Because it was talking about not holding stuff in the past, because you not holding in the past because, and this is all just summarize. Paraphrase.
Yeah.
Don't hold anything in the past because you're because if you're still holding in the past, you're looking behind you and you're not seeing the way that God's paving everything out for you. You're not seeing the rivers He's creating. You're not seeing the forest that He's opening up. You live in the past, and if that's where you want to live at, that's fine.
The problem with living in the past is you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking straight ahead.
And what happens? You look in the rear view, you're gonna crash.
Yep. And you miss everything.
Exactly.
And then you're like, I didn't see the signs because you weren't looking.
Exactly.
And it's just like, bro, that's so good, bro. Yeah. That is so Good. So when it comes to your faith,
Yeah.
how do you lead your family?
Main thing is try to, engage in them more in prayer. And to, again, if there's days that my wife's having a bad time, I'm like, look, just stop, pray, give everything you've got to God.
Mm,
Because if you try to handle it, you're going to fail.
mm,
And that's the thing is, I'm very upfront. I have got nothing to hold back about it.
mm.
I believe so much in the word, and because that is his word,
Absolutely.
right? So I believe so much in the book. I believe so much in the word that if I lean from it and I try to do things my way, I know it's gonna happen.
Mm,
I'm set for failure.
mm,
I'd rather not fail. I know what failure is. I don't want to go through it again.
mm.
God's got everything set up for me. Follow that, and you'll be all right.
That's true wisdom right there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's more than just knowledge.
Yeah.
That's because knowledge is attaining wisdom.
Yep.
Wisdom is using the
Yeah.
knowledge, you know? And so I think of a verse, I believe it's in Proverbs or Psalms, where it says, do not lean onto your own
Standing
understanding,
exactly.
but to lean on God.
Exactly.
And when you do that, you experience
Yep.
peace
Exactly.
that's beyond understanding.
Yep.
And man, it's a beautiful verse, but sometimes I'm like, man, that's sometimes hard to live out
Yeah.
because because of our flesh,
Yeah.
we want to lean onto I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll white knuckle it and I'll do it. And God's just like, you do realize I'm made strong when you're weak, right?
Exactly.
And for men, especially men, it's hard for us to express our weaknesses
Yeah,
or to
for
show
sure.
weakness
Exactly.
because we gotta,
You got to put on the tough face. You got to move forward. You got to keep pushing, and you don't get to have a say.
And what happens is we bury those things.
Yeah.
And we bury them and we bury them. And what ends up happening is it ends up turning into bitterness, anger,
Yeah.
hatred, unforgiveness, all of the above,
Yeah.
right? And so, what are some ways that you are able to release those things? Like, instead of allowing all of these things to build up in you,
Yeah.
what are some ways that you do that help you to release some of those things?
So for me, it's one is for sure just reading the word, man. It's just and it's not only reading it. And I'm not going to say interpret it because there's no way to interpret. The word is the word.
Yeah.
The word is the word is the word. You try to interpret it, you're gonna cause some a false identity to start happening, right?
Yeah.
On top of that is being active with my kids, because whatever happens at work, I won't bring home with me.
Man,
And that's the thing is you got to know how to bring what with you to what places.
yeah.
So
I like
whatever
that.
happens at home, I don't bring to work. They've got
Mm.
nothing to do with each other,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
vice versa, right? So I try to keep whatever is there, and then the thing is, I'm done with it. I'm all right. Like if something makes you mad, I'm like I drive a little bit. I'm like whatever, it's done now. It's past me. What am I gonna do about it, right? Get at it. If it's something that's got to continue the next day, well, you know, throw on my boots and get after it again.
And we talk about it off camera of like it's not a sin to be angry,
Yeah.
but it is a sin of like what you do when you're angry,
Yeah.
obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like there's things called righteous anger, but then there's like anger can obviously lead to sin.
Yep.
And so like I hear you talk about like, man, I just don't let it get how did you get there?
At
Like
time. So mainly that's being around my oldest son, right? Is gaining that empathy for him.
wow.
I'm not gonna say sympathy because sympathy means you feel
Feel
bad.
bad
You know what I
for
mean? You don't want that.
yeah,
I don't feel
love
bad. I don't
that.
feel bad for my son, man.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like he's got what he's got. He's still one of the brightest kids I've got to meet in my life. He shows me so much. I've grown to be more be more of an empath. I'm grown to be a lot more patient. My patience always been top tier. One of my biggest things, I'm top tier patience. I'm above that now.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
what is it going to benefit him for me to come home to be angry and to take something out on him when he did nothing to cause it? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Same thing for my wife.
So yeah, so you said the word prayer. Do you have a group of brothers or men in your life that help you, give you wisdom?
So mainly, I don't really talk to a lot of people nowadays. It's just everyone's groups are different. Again, being You know, with my son having autism, I'm out here and everyone else is here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out of orbit, but I'm okay with that.
Mm,
That's something that doesn't bother me. What I do is I talk to my brother Ruben, who did make the shirt.
mm,
You know, he's also of faith as well.
mm.
So that's someone I've talked to, and you know, he's been able to help, you know, give me a lot of guidance with a lot of things and help me talk through things and, you know, make life more understandable and easy.
That's good, bro. So would you say that he's more of a brother of Christ more
Yeah.
than so he's not necessarily like a mentor, but like you guys help each other
Oh yeah,
out.
for sure.
So I would encourage, like, and this is what every believer needs, is we all need a Paul, which
Yep.
is a mentor, a Timothy, someone we're discipling, and a Peter,
Yeah.
someone that we're walking with.
Yeah.
And so, man, like I encourage you, even though you're in a great place, like find a believer that's ahead of you,
Yeah.
right? And not mean ahead of you, like he's on a higher level, just
Yeah.
with more wisdom, more
No, for
knowledge,
sure.
and just soak that stuff. And
Yeah.
that's helped me the most
Yeah.
grow. And you've grown a lot, and we all grow in our own
Oh
ways.
yeah,
And it's
for
a little bit
sure.
harder for you because of the whole family dynamic.
Oh yeah.
But that's something I would encourage you in is like seek out,
Yeah.
some of that stuff. And then I don't know if you've done this, but like, have you seeked out like other like organizations and like other families dealing what you deal with? Are there like events that you go to?
So one of the things we did recently was the buddy ball here in Lakeland.
Yeah, yeah, you told me
So for
about
my
that.
older son, we just finished that event. So like for me, it also puts into perspective that, you know, there's families where they have multiple children that have some kind of disability, right?
My friend, yeah.
Yeah, you know. So when I see that I've only got my oldest boy, I'm like, man, I was like, it could definitely be tougher. But you
Yeah.
see these people, man, they're strong. They're
Mm,
out there strong and they're ready to go. The thing is having a good support system around you with people who, you know, who want to love them,
yeah.
right? Because you
Yeah.
can't force anyone to love anyone.
Yeah.
Like I won't force people onto my son.
Mm,
If you honestly want to be around him and love him, that's so much better for him. It does nothing for me. I
mm.
appreciate it, but it's mainly for him. But it's in the same token, if you don't want to be around him and you don't want to be, you know, to know him, I'm good.
Wow. Man. So, and the reason why I bring that up is like maybe when you're in those events,
Yeah.
you talk to the other parents and be like, "Hey, let's grab some coffee.
Yeah.
Hey, do you go to church? I would love to invite you to my church." Stuff like that, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like build with some of the people who really know what you're going through.
Exactly.
And so, man, that's something that I would highly, encourage
Yeah,
you to do if
for
you're
sure.
not already doing that. But man, like I think that your story is incredible. Like, this is probably the least I've ever talked on a podcast because
Yeah.
I've just been wanting to listen. Of
Yeah.
like, yeah, so like you have a lot of stuff. So as we wrap up, what is like one message that you would like to give to the audience?
One thing I would say is never lean on yourself.
Mm,
Never think that you can do it by yourself, because I will tell you, you can't.
mm,
I've seen many people fall who thought they could do it. And the minute that they decided to give themselves and to give their everything about them to God, that is when they lifted. That is when they rose to the occasion. That is when they made a difference in their life.
mm,
And like I said, I'm a kid from Dover, man.
mm.
I'm a kid from Dover that didn't have much of an expectancy of his life, didn't have anything going on, that didn't think I would be much of anything. But here I am. I'm 34 years old. I've got two beautiful boys. I've got an amazing wife. I give everything, all glory to God,
Praise God.
no matter what happens. Again, and when I do my prayers, God, thank you for what I have and what I don't.
Mm,
Because what I don't, you knew I didn't need it.
mm.
And what I do, you know I earned it. We deserve nothing in this life.
Come
And
on.
yet I have all this.
Yes, man. That's incredible way to end it, bro. I'm gonna have you back, bro,
No doubt.
because this is a conversation much needed for a lot of families
Yeah,
who
for
feel
sure.
like people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so, hey, do you have social media and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that? You have
My social. I got
Instagram?
Instagram. I have my Facebook, obviously. The Instagram one's kind of weird, but if you look at my name, Marco Ortega, you'll find me. I will have
It'll be in the
We'll get down
link
in the
and all
links
that.
below.
So,
You know what I mean? We'll get
yeah,
everything
so
set up for you guys.
yeah, because there might be people that want to reach out to you,
Yeah.
ask you questions. So I want to leave your information.
No, for sure.
You'll be able to find it right underneath. You know where to find it. It's in the link below. So make sure you do that. And remember, guys, like when I heard all of this, man, one thing kept reoccurring.
Yep.
And it is going back to the word,
Yep.
going back to prayer, going back to God.
Yep.
Like,
at all times.
And if you want to take that next step, it always will start and it always will continue with going back to God.
Yep.
And man, thank you for being on, man.
No
This
doubt,
has been
brother.
a privilege.
For sure, man.
Make
It's
sure
been awesome.
you like, comment,
share it.
Yeah, subscribe.
You need help. I'm here.
Yes.
Y'all get a hold of my stuff. I can do whatever I can to help you. I'm not a smart man, but I got a little bit of common sense, so that helps out.
Hey, come on now.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all we need.
And I'm truthful too, so hey.
You know, common sense isn't as
Ain't too
common anymore.
no more,
Like,
man.
we live in a crazy world. But hey, I love you guys. I can't wait to see you guys. We're gonna bring him back, trust me. And man, I hope you guys have an amazing day. God bless, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless.
Y'all be easy, man.
Peace.
Let's go and get straight to it. My God is the best. His name is Yahweh. I advise you to check. Yeah. My God is certified, glorified. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Just giving your life. Yeah. And you know the truth. Yeah. My God is 100 proof. Yeah.